Hi, my name's Caroline. I'm a humanistic integrative counsellor, and I'm here today to talk to you about a fun way to help us cope with anxiety, depression, releasing trauma, helping with confidence, lots of other sort of physical improvements around flexibility, coordination. This hack there's not many downsides to it as far as I can tell. And so this hack is to try dancing. So this may not have been always easily accessible to everyone, especially if you live in more isolated places. But obviously, since we have YouTube, we have a constant source of free workshops, free videos showing us how we can dance. All sorts of different dances, all different styles, and you know, for any ability. I'm a big fan of belly dancing, not in public, just in the comfort of my own four walls. And the teacher that I follow actually has also has tutorials for wheelchair users, and there are lots of different styles out there for all different dancing styles, whatever appeals to you. And there's lots for people who don't have full mobility, and loads for beginners. And so this is very much about having fun and helping to cope with our day-to-day stress, but also long term to help us to improve our confidence, help us to release trauma, and lots of other benefits on the side that I've been looking into. So I thought I'd run through a few of them. So, for example, things like increasing the release of dopamine through dancing. Dopamine's a neurotransmitter that gives us pleasure. And it just really helps us to cope with stress, anxiety, depression. Often we can fall into the trap of getting our dopamine from places like scrolling on the internet. Social media has been set up to try and hook us into that dopamine release, but that comes with the side effect of we can end up down rabbit holes, reading stuff that's not very good for our mental health, and that whole sort of idea of comparing with others, compare and despair, and not bringing the added benefits that something like dancing can provide. Things like laughter, I was not a born dancer. I have to work hard to really try and follow my my tutor's movements, and I end up half the time just really laughing at myself because I've got it totally wrong. I've gone the wrong way. But there's no one there to see that. I'm basically laughing at myself. And so that's one of the keys, I think, to this sort of hack really is to just not take it seriously. I do not have any mirrors up where I could see myself, because this is more about tuning into me internally, trying to get more in touch with my body, the sensations within my body, rather than, this is not a way for me to sort of try and look good. It's actually about cutting that side off completely. I don't want to even think about how I look whilst I'm doing it. It's all about how I feel. And so, yeah, just laughing at myself, being able to make mistakes, knowing that it really doesn't matter, and that, I might have to do that tutorial, 10 more times before I can, get that technique nailed, for example. So, and that side of things also links in with the idea that doing something like dancing is really good for stopping any intrusive thoughts, ruminations, sort of when we're really stuck up there in our heads and really kind of mulling things over and over and spiraling thoughts. Because you have to stay so present, so in the moment whilst you're trying to follow the dance moves, that there is just no space there for any kind of intrusive thoughts. So it's a really lovely little hack to just give your brain a rest. Just, forget all about it for half an hour, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, whatever time you have available. Really, really great for that. Obviously, physical fitness, that goes without saying. You're going to be increasing your heart rate. You're going to be using muscles, some muscles you probably never thought you had. Especially if you're trying something new, you're going to be using parts of your body that, because we don't generally, dance around our house or dance in everyday life. Whereas, for example, if we choose a different activity like walking or running, there's absolutely nothing wrong with those. I love both of those things as well, but our bodies are very used to those movements. If you do walk or run, there's nothing different about that. So when we're walking or running, we can still get those intrusive thoughts coming in. We're not as likely to laugh at ourselves for sort of, messing up or just sort of not quite getting it. We're not going to be pushing ourselves as much in terms of using different muscles, different from what we would normally use. We're not going to be doing things like increasing neuroplasticity, because we know that if we are learning a new skill, a new language, anything that we're just not used to doing, that really helps our brains. It helps us to stay young, helps us to create more neural pathways, which is one of the things that helps us to stay young and youthful. It's also really good for helping coordination, balance, flexibility. Again, none of those you're really going to be massively engaging, when you're talking about things like walking and running. That's the kind of thing that, you definitely can get benefit from with other sports. But in particular, things like coordination, you having to really focus on developing those skills, especially if you're wanting to put dance moves together as you sort of progress through. The beginners classes maybe quite basic steps, but as you progress, you might be wanting to put those moves together into a dance. And so the benefit of that is really helping you with your coordination. Things like, basics like breathing, any kind of exercise that requires us to breathe more deeply. If we're exerting our bodies, we're going to be breathing more deeply, going to be taking in more oxygen, which helps then to release the adrenaline that we may have built up, adrenaline and cortisol that we may have built up during the day through stress or as a result of experiencing anxiety or depression, from sort of pre-existing, what we go through in our lives. In particular with, let's say, belly dancing, this probably goes for other styles of dancing as well, but in particular belly dancing, they do a lot of shimmy moves, which involves shaking your body, and that's very much reminiscent of one of the techniques we use in therapy, to help people to shake off their trauma, to stay present, to become grounded back in the room. If we've been talking about really difficult traumatic memories in the past, we can use shaking as a way of grounding ourselves back into reality and feeling safe and present and in the here and now. It's a technique that animals use in the wild if they've managed to escape from a predator. And afterwards, animals will just sort of shake themselves off to release the trauma of what they've just been through. And when we humans go into shock, if we've been through a trauma, if we're in shock, we will often shake. Our bodies will just naturally shake. There are certain trauma therapies that actually involve encouraging your body to shake in order to release the experiences, release the stress hormones that have been built up in your body as a result of that. So that can be, as I say, certainly in belly dance. I'm sure there are other styles of dancing that involve shimmying or shaking, and so it's a fun way of shaking stuff off. One it's very much highlighted by Bessel Van Der Kolk in this incredible book, The Body Keeps the Score. I think I'm on my third read through of this book. It's just an absolute Bible when it comes to trauma and ways we can work with trauma, ways we can release trauma, and dance, theatre and yoga in particular are really good ways that he highlights to help release that. And it's fairly well documented that often trauma can be stored in our hips, especially sexual abuse trauma. So when it comes to things like yoga, if we're doing hip opening positions such as happy baby, we may just want to be a little bit aware that for people with a history of trauma, that might release some emotions for them. And so that's also something to bear in mind when it comes to dance moves. If you're doing a lot of hip circling, it may be that there's you're allowing your body to release some of this, which is fantastic if your body wants to organically release. But yeah, just to sort of bear that in mind as something to be aware of. Um, and things like grounding. So when we are very much up in our heads, or if we're in that space of feeling quite numbed out, sort of not really in contact with reality, this can happen either if we are feeling dissociated, disconnected with the present moment, if we're feeling depressed, we can have this sensation of not quite being here in the present, or just very cut off emotionally from ourselves. And things like dancing that's very much focused on staying on the ground. I mean, I don't do any kind of ballet or any kind of dancing that involves sort of jumps or leaps. I'm sure maybe younger people love all that, but you know, I think especially from sort of middle age onwards, we have to be a bit careful and mindful of the impact that jumping around might have on our joints. And yeah, I mean, with that in mind, I should probably say, you know, if you are worried about sort of any if you do have any physical sort of limitations or injuries, then yeah, dancing's probably maybe something like aqua aerobics might be better for you. So yeah, definitely consult a doctor. But things like belly dancing or you know, I'm not sure about other sort of Middle Eastern styles. There's loads to choose from, but dancing that is very sort of grounding around sort of really focusing on movements, sort of waist down movements, are really, really good for us to feel very rooted in the present moment. And that can be another way to sort of disconnect these intrusive thoughts that we can experience if we're too much in our logical brain, not really connected with our body. Having dance moves that are really focusing us down deep into the earth, if you like, and really focusing in on getting our feet sort of planted, that can be really nourishing for our bodies, and as a way of sort of really staying present and focused, rather than, you know, fantasizing or about, you know, how things, you know, when we play out these, oh, I wish I'd said this, that and the other when I had a row with my partner, or, you know, these replaying events over and over and over, or going down a rabbit hole about what other people might think of us. It's really staying present, grounded, is a fabulous antidote, really, to all the times in which we're sort of really caught up in these sort of spiraling thoughts. Certainly in terms of reconnecting, if you identify as female, I very much love doing, especially belly dancing, as a way of reconnecting with femininity, that sort of feminine energy. That it can really help with body confidence. I'm not suggesting that you know, anyone sort of starts joining a dance troupe, and I that's the last thing on my mind. But you know, in terms of just feeling that, you know, reconnected with our body, and feeling that it's okay to move our bodies not necessarily for anyone else's benefit, because there's been a lot of dancing can be sort of might feel objectifying if other people, if we feel like other people are watching us. It may feel, especially belly dancing has a lot of connotations around sexuality and being a sexual being, but actually, that's not necessarily what it is all about. I mean, it was sort of originally, but just being able to feel comfortable moving our bodies to music can be really life affirming and really confidence inspiring, that it's okay to just jiggle around your bedroom and just feel free and have fun. And kind of, last but not least, is just listening to music. Listening to music can really help us to just feel alive, and can distract us from these feelings of anxiety, feelings of stress, depression. It's very uplifting to just really tune in to rhythmic sounds. Now, there's been lots of studies around the benefits of dancing in conjunction with therapy. So dance therapy, there are practitioners in the UK, not loads of them, but most of the dance therapy studies have come out of the US, and there's a whole list of benefits that they have come across, that they have studied when you combine the dancing with a trained dance therapist. I probably won't list them all off here. What I'll probably do is put them in the description if you are interested in learning more about dance therapy, but it's not widely available in the UK, and I imagine it will probably be relatively expensive. And so my videos really are for people who perhaps don't want to have sort of regular therapy, can't afford it, don't want to access it for whatever reason. So I don't know that me going deep into the benefits of dance therapy would be particularly helpful here, but what I'll do is I'll put it in the description. The main thing to note, I think, that might be helpful is that in Bessel Van Der Kolk's book, he references a study by Pennebaker and Krantz, whereby there was a group of students, they split a group, quite a small group of students, they split them into a group that just did physical exercise, a group that just did dancing, and a group that did dancing and combined the dancing with journaling about it, writing about their experiences. And these are all students who'd had traumatic experiences in their past. All three groups recorded significant improvements in their well-being and just in their lives in general, which is echoed very much by some of these other studies that I'll put in the description. But the group that shows sort of scientifically improved results, particularly around their cognitive functioning and physical health, were the group that combined dancing with journaling. So just to recap, all students, all three groups found it helpful, either exercise, dancing, or dancing and journaling. But it was the group that did the dancing and journaling that recorded the best outcomes. So I guess to just kind of have that as something to bear in mind. I'm a massive fan of journaling. I bang on about it all the time in my videos. So there's something very powerful there about combining the two. But yeah, give it a go if you feel like it. Like I say, there's loads of tutorials on the internet. I will link the YouTube channel that I love. Her name's Portia. She's American based. I think the channel's called something like Dance Moves with Portia. She's funny. She makes me laugh. She's very down to earth. She's very open about how she has found belly dancing very beneficial to her, including things like helping her pelvic floor muscles after childbirth, including things like coping with her relationship, coping with menopause as well. I mean, there's loads of other sort of side benefits that I haven't mentioned, otherwise this video would be far too long, and it may not be universally helpful, you know, for particularly for men. But yes, there are sort of loads and loads of other extra benefits. But yeah, she's very engaging and she makes me laugh a lot. So I don't know her personally. It's not that I would get any benefit from referring anyone. That's just who I chime with on YouTube. So I'll link her channel below, but I know there's loads and loads of different teachers out there, and belly dancing may not call to you. I want to try other styles as well, but yeah, I really can't rave enough about how beneficial dancing is. You know, as I say, as long as you are physically able and fit enough to, you know, get involved, yeah, just absolutely think it's fantastic. So yeah, well, I hope this has been helpful or interesting, and yeah, if you use dance at all to help lift your mood or cope with your stresses, then please feel free to add below, like, you know, which style of dance you really enjoy, or if you have YouTube channels, if you are a dance therapist, or if you offer dance tutorials on YouTube, please feel free to add them below for other people to benefit. That would be lovely. So thanks for watching, and see you again soon. Bye.